Pelaksanaan Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan PKP selama 14 hari bagi menangani penularan COVID-19 memberi kesan kepada ekonomi negara. Kerajaan menganggarkan kerugian keseluruhan dalam sektor pelancongan mulai Januari hingga Februari 2020 sebanyak 3.37 bilion ringgit. Menurut Perdana Menteri Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, penularan COVID-19 menyebabkan pakej pelancongan dibatalkan dan menjejaskan mereka yang bekerja dengan syarikat penerbangan serta perhotelan. Susulan penularan COVID-19 di 140 negara di seluruh dunia, Kementerian Pelancongan, Seni dan Budaya telah membatalkan kempen Tahun Melawat Malaysia 2020. Menurut menterinya, Datuk Seri Nancy Shukri, pembatalan itu dibuat bagi memberi keutamaan supaya kesihatan, keselamatan dan kesejahteraan negara serta rakyat terpelihara. Semua penggiat industri pelancongan dan kebudayaan diseru mematuhi Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan, peraturan dan arahan oleh Majlis Keselamatan Negara (MKN) yang berkuasa ketika ini. Selain pelancongan dan penerbangan, sektor lain yang terjejas teruk ialah perusahaan kecil dan sederhana serta perniagaan perejitan. Terdapat kekesaran daripada rakyat apabila perniagaan terpaksa ditutup dan aktiviti perniagaan tidak dapat dilaksanakan. Sementara itu, prestasi pasaran petroleum minyak mentah dunia merosot di bawah $30 Amerika setong, terburuk dalam 18 tahun pasaran minyak global. Ia memberi kesan kepada ekonomi negara kerana Malaysia antara pengeksport minyak dunia. Dalam masa yang sama, pasaran bursa saham di seluruh dunia mengalami situasi sukar dan penyusutan berikutan kebimbangan pandemik COVID-19. Semalam, Suruhanjaya Sekuriti Malaysia dan Bursa Malaysia Berhad mengumumkan bahawa jualan pendek atau short selling digantung buat sementara hingga 30 April 2020. Pergantungan ini diperkenalkan sebagai sebahagian daripada langkah-langkah proaktif untuk mengurangkan potensi risiko yang timbul daripada ketidaktentuan yang sengit dari ketidakpastian pasaran global. Dalam suasana getir yang dihadapi ketika ini, kerajaan melaksanakan rancangan ekonomi baharu untuk menghadapi cabaran sepanjang tempoh sekatan kawalan pergerakan dilaksanakan. Kerajaan akan memastikan pakej rancangan ekonomi yang diumumkan akan dipantau pelaksanaannya supaya kesannya akan dapat dirasai oleh semua rakyat. Pelbagai usaha dilaksanakan merangkumi kerajaan pusat dan negeri dalam membantu mereka yang terjejas, terutama peniaga kecil yang mengalami masalah kewangan sepanjang tempoh Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan. Baru-baru ini, Majlis Tindakan Ekonomi memutuskan beberapa inisiatif. Antaranya membenarkan semua ahli kumpulan wang simpanan pekerja KWSP berumur bawah 55 tahun membuat pengeluaran wang simpanan dalam akaun dua masing-masing tertakluk kepada kadar maksimum RM500 sebulan untuk tempoh selama 12 bulan. Permohonan yang boleh dibuat bermula 1 April membenarkan 12 juta ahli KWSP mengeluarkan simpanan berjumlah RM40 bilion. Pengeluaran wang dari KWSP ini dapat meringankan beban dan mereka perlu faham situasi yang dialami negara dalam tempoh pelaksanaan Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan bagi menangani penularan wabak maut ini. Jika isu pandemik ini dapat dikawal dan diselesaikan lebih awal, negara dapat keluar dari kemelut wabak COVID-19.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Suraya. So I'm going to present the definition of public budget. Public budget can be defined as a statement or expenditure plan for the future as a plan for the management of material resources and economic resources to meet the needs and comfort of the people. The presentation of the national budget will be tabled annually in Parliament. Budget is also important for a country to achieve economic goals and the objective within the set period, and also important so that there is no waste and lack of national money. For example, financial plan for 2021 to ensure the survival of the people and economic resilience with the aim of helping the people to face the current issue and situation and challenges, especially to those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, there are 5 characteristics of budget. First of all is annually, means that the presentation of the budget is done annually, which require a unified budget which is only cover a year. After that, the second characteristic are unity, means the budget need to cover all the government agencies and the other institution in order to undertake government operation. Next are specificity, means give the priority for the most important budget, and also the details and information in the budget need to be understood by the public clearly. After that, accuracy, which is the amount of budget must be accurate so that no misinformation, and also it will not be troublesome in the future to calculate the other budget. And the last characteristic are prior authorization, means the authority need to responsible in order to determine on what and how much the needs to be spent, which is depend on the executive body. Next, there are 6 roles of public budget. First, method of implementing government policy. Second, a document to control the expenditure and finance. Third, an instrument to measure the performance. Next, an accountability instrument. After that, a policy statement instrument, and lastly, a government business statement. There are 2 components of budget, which is national revenue and national expenditure. National revenue means source of revenue obtained by the government, which will be used to manage the country and the people. National revenue will be divided into 3 categories, which are federal revenue, state revenue, and lastly local government revenue. Firstly, the federal revenue comes from tax and non-tax, which is tax for duty, import, and non-tax from permit and licenses. The state revenue comes from the entertainment duty, zakat fitrah, receipt and fees, and also the toddy shop, while local government revenue comes from license fees, investment, and services. The next component are national expenditure, which refers to the money spent for the provision of services to the people or the government, such as education, healthcare, and social protection. There are 2 categories of national expenditure, which are for operational expenditure and also development expenditure. Operational expenditure means expenditure of emolument for the workers, such as the salary, financial benefits, and allowance. After that, national expenditure are for the development. As we can see, the government spend in the development for the economic services such as agriculture and rural development, communication, public utilities, education, and transport. For example, on budget 2031, which is the government provided assistance rancangan makanan tambahan RMT to the children under P40.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYAMIRAH binti ZAMANI. So I want to present the public expenditure. Public expenditure divide by 2. Firstly is development expenditure, and secondly is operational expenditure. Development expenditure, government expenditure that helps the economic development the country with increased production and real income. Development expenditure mean expenditure that involves promoting the economic and social growth of the country. For example, that can I give is providing infrastructure, the cost of building school for students to gain the knowledge, and airport. On the development expenditure have 3 types, which are economic service, social service, and security. For the economic service, they have communication, agriculture, and rural development, transport, public utility, and trade and industry. For the social service is education and training, health, and housing. For the security, which are defense and internal security. Secondly is operational expenditure. Operational expenditure or management expenditure can be defined general as expenses for everyday activity. The operational expenditure, which divide into supply expenditure and chargeable expenditure, are the 2 basic types. The operational expenditure can be classified into 3, which are by sector, function, and object. First, The classification by sector divide into social, economic, security, general administration, trust and transfer, such as grant and loan. Second, the classification by function divide into the government will make a wood head, which is future classified into supply wood and just wood, and the future classified by activity. Thirdly is the classification by object divide into asset, supply and service, emoluments and other expenditure. Profile of the ministry. Background: the Ministry of Finance is a Malaysian government ministry that entrusts with a good trust and honestly to perform its duty to take responsibility for government expenditure and increase national revenue. The ministry rule to develop economy policy and prepare the Malaysian federal budget. The Ministry of Finance also have the oversee financial legislation and regulation. Every year in October, the Ministry of Finance present Malaysian federal budget to the Parliament. YB Senator Tengku Datuk Seri Utama Zafrul bin Tengku Abdul Aziz is the Minister of Finance. The office is located at the Ministry of Finance Complex Putrajaya. The vision of the Ministry of Finance is that the Treasury is a strategic leader to see the financial and economic result to ensure improvement and growth for the prosperity of the people and the country, so that they have a comfortable life if the country development is in good shape. They have a formation. Firstly is to implement fiscal and monetary policy to stimulate the country economic growth. Secondly is strength competitiveness between other country and the resilience of Malaysian economy. Thirdly is ensure that a planned financial management will enable it to be effective and prudent. And lastly is to ensure and achieve the wealth of Malaysian is distributed fairly and equitability. Also, they have a objective divide by 3. Firstly is to formulate, analysis and prepare sound procedure and system setting. Secondly is to obtain financial resources and funding on behalf of the government. And the lastly is managing about individual income tax effort.
The COVID-19 pandemic has hit the whole world, including in our country. The country's economy fell off as the result of this pandemic. And also many people were affected financially because they could not do the business somewhere even laid off. So the program created under the Ministry of Finance is Bantuan Khas COVID-19 and also known as BKC. This one and effort to help ease the burden of the people following the MCO. So the objective for this program created is to help middle income group and also to help ease the burden of small traders and B40 workers so that they can get on with life better. So with this help can cover their living to buy kitchen items. The agency implementing for this program is NAMA, or known as a National Disaster Management Agency. It serves as a mediator between a government agency involved disaster relief. It also plays an essential part in the BKC because it includes national disasters that are classified as epidemics. Anyone who wants to apply for BKC can browse the UNAPMA website. The start date of BKC is start on 6 September 2021 and will be followed by phases. It will be given in stage according to 3 different phases with a set date. The allocation request by OBB is different every phases, such as phases 1 it will be given 3.1 billion ringgit. For phases 2 it will be given for 300 million ringgit, and for the phases 3 it will give 1.2 billion ringgit.
Okay, for program 2, which is Geran Khas Prihatin or GKP. Okay, to reduce the impact of COVID-19, the government has announced the people carrying economic stimulus package, which is Prihatin, which with the concept of protect the people of RM 250,000 50 billion to help the B40 and M40 as well as sector if affected by COVID-19 and PKP. Okay, Geran Khas Prihatin was created to help SME owners which is affected by COVID-19 and PKP. GKP is one of the various government initiatives in ensuring the viability of business. In total, the government has channel and allocation of RM 6.1 billion through GKP 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0, and additional GKP to elevate the financial burden of micro SME, including hawkers, night market traders and others. Okay, through this initiative, a special grant of 3,000 ringgit is provided under the People's Caring Economic Stimulus Package, which is we also tell as Prihatin PKS, also known as Prihatin PKS, to each eligible micro SME company, and is expected to benefit almost 700,000 micro SMEs nationwide. Okay, net the total allocation that has been and will be channeled to more than 1 million micro SMEs under GKP since COVID-19 hit the country is RM 6.08 billion. The government hopes that continued cash assistance to these eligible micro SMEs will help cash flow as well as mobilize and revive their business, which were the most affected sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur and AKMAL binti KAMARUDIN, and I will present about the program 3. The program 3 is a program immunisasi COVID-19. The major goals of this COVID-19 immunization campaign is to serve a significant step forward in the government's effort to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. This program tries to protect people from becoming infected with COVID-19. As a result, any preconception established by this anti-vaccine organization should be set aside by the general public. The objective of the National COVID-19 Immunization Program is to serve the value of preserving people's life, as well as defending and building the socio-economic system so that community life and the country's socio-economic integrity are not jeopardized. As a result, the National COVID-19 Immunization Program strives to address the safeguard everyday issues from being exacerbated or treated by the impact of a pandemic whose end date is unknown. The intended aim was to achieve cluster immunity with at least 80% of Malaysia's population completely vaccinated against COVID-19. The National COVID-19 Immunization Program will be implemented with a budget of RM 5.8 billion. RM 4.8 billion was sent to the Ministry of Health Malaysia MOH, while RM 1 billion was directed to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation MOSTI. The implementation of the National COVID-19 Immunization Program (PIC billion, an increase of RM2 billion compared to RM3 billion allocation announcements during the 2021 budget speech. The allocation will be funded through the National Trust Fund (KWAN). An explanation of the use of the KWAN fund was made by the Minister of Finance. Vaccination ability for 82.8% of the country's population from multiple providers are at total cost of RM2.05 billion. The total of vaccine procurement costs RM3.16 billion for 110% of the population. That's all from me. Thank you. In conclusion, we are also able to clearly know and understand public budget in general and specifically. In addition, we have reviewed the detail of the public budget where the budget system has provide operational management. Another that through this program, it will help our Malaysia not to fall behind financial. Although now our country economy is not as great as other country, but we can plan and manage program well so that our Malaysian is on par with other country. Planning is one of the great strategy for the future of our country. Moreover, the Ministry of Finance is very important in the country. It will help develop our country. Also, not only handing out fund and money, but also taking care in a country to achieve more progress in the future. That's all from me.